Welcome back to the Tobago Update Morning Show, and we have in studio with us Mr. Anslem Richards, Technical Advisor to the Tobago House of Assembly, and he's here to discuss the THA Economic Development Plan. But before we get into that conversation, we want to go to our photo of the day. Yes, our photo of the day was sent in by Virtual Tobago. Our photo of the day was sent in by Virtual Tobago, and I believe, as a matter of fact, let me keep it a secret for now. I almost let the cat out the bag. So you're sending your messages on our Facebook and our YouTube live chats and tell us where you think this photo of the day is. Photo of the day sent in by Virtual Tobago. So we get right into the conversation with Mr. Anslem Richards. Good morning, Mr. Richards, and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, world, wherever in it you are.
So, you know, last time we had the conversation, it was quite energetic.
Yes.
Yes. So, and we started talking about the Economic Development Plan for Tobago.
And you wanted more.
And we wanted more. So you're back here to give us more. So just tell us, this Economic Development Plan that this administration has been developing, what is the vision for Tobago economically?
Right. So the broad ambitious vision, as I said, is to take Tobago, or the ambition is to become the greatest circle island on the planet. That's a big, ambitious dream for Tobago.
Yes.
And that is what we're going to bring us together, and then we drive our development transformational issues, right? Remember I said at the last time that we were not doing the traditional economic planning, because when we did the research, we recognized that all the plans dating back to 1963 that preceded Flora, coming up to current, 90% of the recommendation of those plans are still relevant in our development space today, meaning that we have an implementation deficit that is manifesting through by the lack of technical capacity, financial resources to do the part, administrative capacity, and so forth. So what we would have done, there's this new emerging strategy for development I call a development pathway, right? Which is a systematic, logical framework to take you to a certain destination, a pathway, a path that you are going along.
Yes.
So it's not a complicated issue, it's a very organic way of planning. And what it does, it relocates planning at the sectorial level, as opposed to somebody sitting somewhere in an office in Trinidad or anywhere in the world and writing a plan for you. This one is very organic, it is very fluid, and it gives you the ability to make the adjustment as you go along. So it's a development pathway. It gives you it is more operational than philosophical, in other words. Right? So it captures your whole program, all your projects, your programs, your projects, your timelines, your deliverables, and that's the frame that we are using, the development pathway.
So tell us, you spoke about the general goal of the economic plan. Well, just let's go into detail about what some of these initiatives will look like.
So let me just give you the strategic policy agenda is wrapped in five intersecting and broad overlapping strategic policy focus. One, self-determination, right? And that is, we have to design and implement a Tobago government that is in line with our social, cultural, and economic prosperity of current and future generation, right? Two, institutional reform. If you're doing anything, there has to be institutional reform, right? And that is a problem we have in the country. For instance, we have a national security challenge, and there have not been any institutional reform of the Ministry of National Security to change how they do business. They have not established, since we have been challenged by the proliferation of firearms on our street, and I can't even say small arms again, but we have military grade now. They have not done any institutional transformation at the Ministry of National Security to create a Department of Border Security and Border Control. Recall that in the United States, when they had 9/11, they created a new institutional response to those kinds of threats called the Department of Homeland Security. So most time when you are responding to public challenges and public problems, there has to be an institutional capacity created to respond to those challenges. We are not operating in that mode in this country. But in our development planning space, we have recognized those deficiencies in our approach to planning over the years and have now integrated that into our planning model, that we will create the necessary institutional responses to our public problems. Because government is about solving public problems, you know, and creating solutions to the public challenges for the public. That is the core function of government, right? So the other thing is economic reform and growth, You have to create jobs, you have to create new industries, new sectors to drive the economic transformation, to create the kind of livelihoods and opportunity. Kamala Harris said last time she wanted to create an opportunity economy. We will not use that, but it's opportunities for an equal opportunity, inclusive opportunities for all, right? So the other point is, the other philosophical point that wraps the philosophy of the planning. Let me just pull it, the computer jump up the scale. Right. So the grand vision of the plan, as I told you, become the greatest little island in the world. That is to align our development with those small islands that have high GDP, per capita income. Exactly. You see, you're following the conversation, man. You're an economist.
Well, I used to aspire to that in high school, but
don't be afraid, Still do what your passion is about. Follow the trend.
I do my passion.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then the final thing is the integrated development planning model I spoke to you about, that brings all of that together.
Yes.
Right? So in that, let me bring up for you the 21 development priority agendas. And then that will set the context of what we are doing. Right? So I told you this is a big document, and
I really want to get into the nitty-gritty, into the details of what are the initiatives, what's your plan for agriculture, what's your plan for tourism, what's your plan for X, Y, Z.
All right, so we have to, so we don't probably need to spend the time to get into this thing, because this will be online for the public to access. So we have 21 development priorities that speak to education, health, public transportation, public infrastructure, food security, food sovereignty, because we want to produce a certain percentage of our the food we consume here, given our agricultural capabilities and our land capabilities. We have to introduce in a significant way in our agricultural processes science and technology to do the transformation, as we spoke about in part of the philosophical thing. We have to deploy digital solution in our public service administration. So we have public service reform. So we have a host of development priority agenda, 21 of them.
So, Mr. Richards, you're speaking towards, you have identified areas for economic development and development that will lead to economic development of the island on a whole. What I want to get into is the particular initiatives. Do you all have you all established, created particular initiatives and plans that you want to execute? Is there a specific direction you want agriculture to go in, and what is that initiative you're going to implement to get that done? So the overall development agenda for agriculture is promoting food security and food sovereignty. Under that initiative, you'll have a number of programs. Programs are the big items, like, you want to have, let me see, meat security, for want of a better. Sufficiency in poultry production. But you will have different projects under that program in terms of your protein. Let me say protein, meats and eggs and so forth, right? And milk. So you have different program under your sufficiency for protein. So you will have, let me say, small ruminants, a program to deal with that. You'll have chicken production or poultry production, eggs production. So all those are specific projects under that program. And you'll have those. So we have those things. We have those things in place, right? You have those programs in place. We have some of them, because you can't do everything. Resources. So you have to do what we call strategic selectivity. So can you speak to some of these programs today? Right. So for this fiscal, as I told you on the last occasion, the Executive Council has identified 44 priority projects. Because remember, as I said last week, one of the challenges we have in development in Tobago is the small and minute development budget. And recall, I also mentioned that from fiscal 2022 to fiscal 2025, our development budget has been reduced from $400 million to $265 million. That is almost 50% reduction. So you're constrained. Very much constrained. And the constraint go beyond that, because I will share with you some interesting development that is happening in the funding of Tobago, that Tobagonians and all of us need to understand the kind of pressure that the THA is being placed under. And I labeled it
a campaign of defunding the development of Tobago. And it is written in some of the national budget. And I want to give thanks to one of my colleagues who supplied me with some excerpt from the 3 last budget that speaks to that last night, because we were discussing this program. So we have that challenge, right? So we have to do what we call strategic selectivity. So we have, and sometimes when you do the selectivity, we have to even reduce the work plan, because remember, we come to the people of Tobago in June every year and present a very comprehensive budget statement.
So what does the work plan look like now?
Right, they look 44 projects on the development side, because remember, the budget comes in 2 phases or 2 parts or 2 components. Recurrent is to pay the bill that keeps the lights on, open the business, the social support for people, for the disadvantaged and so forth. And then the transformation thing is your capital expenditure or a development project.
Yes.
Right, and that has been reduced by 50%. So what was proposed after we were not given what we asked for from the national budget, the Assembly had to go back now into retreat and reprioritize and recalibrate its work program based on the resources that have been made available to it through the Parliament.
Yes.
$206 million. In addition to that, what we do normally is that we have to, what they call, restrain or restrict our our recurrent expenditure, paying the bills, the security, and so forth, and tea and tech. We owe this administration, and I'm talking straight because we come to talk, and people have to understand. The cultural complex, this administration inherited a light bill for the cultural complex for $10 million.
That's significant. That's quite significant.
$10 million. Right?
So that's recurrent expenditure.
Right? So let me tell you what we propose to do. Right? So there are 44 projects in the Office of the Chief Secretary. I don't know if you heard about the program called POSH, which is housing, and right. So I guess you're preparing yourself to apply when you get land and thing already. If you get land, you can't apply it. If you get land, you can't apply it. And we have strict investigations going on there. We have the land ownership rule, so don't double apply. That is for persons, public officers. So this is a special public officer subsidized housing program. So the Chief Secretary recognized that when you throw public servants in the general mix for housing, sometime, and our public servants. So this is a special program to give a pathway to public servants to get subsidized housing in the space, right? The autonomy bill, as I told you last week, remains a priority project for development. We cannot do the transformation of this island without securing autonomy for the island. And the autonomy question, and let me put it very simple for all of us to understand. The real challenge with us for the autonomy is to amend the constitution or transform the constitution, giving Tobago lawmaking authority for the matters that it is responsible for. And let me give you an example. We have had some incidents with small seacraft, jet skis and things in Pigeon Point. The Tobago House Assembly cannot make a law to regulate the use of those vehicles, motor vehicles in Tobago, anywhere around Tobago, right? We have had this situation recently where the Registrar General Office, the Deputy Registrar General who was assigned to Tobago, Mrs. Beckles, was forced out of office. Now, if you want your board paper at Tobago, somebody from Trinidad will come and sign it and say, you born at Tobago, And we had a Tobagonian who were doing that. And this administration reversed that.
Okay, so we have the issue of the autonomy.
So the autonomy thing becomes very, very critical. Because what it does, it gives, especially the lawmaking power and the executive authority for the areas over which Tobago has final constitutional authority. It gives the THA the authority to make the policy and makes the law to give force.
We could talk more about the autonomy.
So let me get back to the 44 project. But those are things that we need to put up front, right? So the autonomy bill remains thing, right? And these are the projects in the Office of the Chief Secretary. The Culloden Plainfield, remember I told you last time that we purchased the Culloden estate. We completed the acquisition of this administration. It started in 2017, I think, with the last administration. And there was some legal challenge between the owner and the bank that repossessed the Culloden estate. And the matter went to the Privy Council, completed, give the clear this administration on technical review and advice, execute it. So the Culloden estate has been purchased and is owned by the THA. It comes with approval for hotel development and villas and so forth. But we recognize also that there are some missing social infrastructure in the Culloden area. And one of the things that the Chief Secretary has designed or has approved is the construction of a playing field to create that social cohesiveness in the Culloden area. And if you look at the crime map, if you look at the social deviance map in Tobago, you will see a lot of activity in terms of social deviance happening in that space, and we need to treat it in a particular way. And we are, as I said, we are responding to public problems. That is what government is about, right? So we have that. So that is in the Office of the Chief Secretary. In the Division of Finance, a critical program we have, and it's targeted GDP growth by making targeted capital investment in key sectors. We understand that the current financial services sector is not delivering the kind of financial solutions for business development in Tobago. And therefore, the government of Tobago, as far as its capabilities offer it, needs to intervene to correct the situation as fast as possible. Right? You have heard for years the notion or the saying that we have to establish a Tobago Development Bank.
Yes.
This administration has really pushed that project down the road, right? We have the institution registered. We are not calling it a Tobago Bank, but the institution is now called the Tobago Development Fund, because the bank creates a level of regulatory oversight with the central bank and all of that would have delayed the implementation of the project. So when we do the analysis, we recognize that we can just switch the name from a development bank to a development fund. Down the road, we can always go back to the bank if that is the ambition of the Tobagonians. But at least we get the institutional functional. It is registered. There is the board of directors. So we are moving. We are building out the space to operationalize it. We are going to market at this particular point to recruit a CEO and the senior management staff. We have developed a body of policies for the operation of the bank that we have sent out to some of our for technical peer review at institution at the same level. Like we have engaged the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to review the policy, because the IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank, looked at this program and they signed off on it. They offered us $100,000 in technical assistance to establish this institution because they saw the need. We made the case, we did the analysis, and they came on board with us. You know what happened? When they signed the request for the non-approval, because how the system works, for us to get the technical support from the IDB, the Ministry of Planning have to give non-objection for them to assist Tobago. The Ministry of Planning refused to issue the non-objection.
All right, Mr. Richards.
No. Yes, these things have to be told. I want to explain to you.
I understand. We will come back and we have to go on a break.
We're going on a break.
Yes,
we have
to go on a break.
Because I want to tell you, you asked for more, you know.
Yes.
And I come to give you more.
Break.
And we get documents to it.
And we'll discuss the issue of the Tobago Development Bank.
And we'll
talk about more on the issue of autonomy.
Right.
We have to go on a break. But before we go on a break, viewers, we go back to a photo of the day. And the photo of the day is a photo taken of the Buku Heritage Park. And that was sent in by Virtual Tobago. Yes, this is a photo of the Buku Heritage Park, and it was sent in by Virtual Tours Tobago. So we want to go on a break, ladies and gentlemen. Do us a favor. Your friends, your family, they all want to get in on this discussion. It's a very important discussion. So do us a favor, share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back, viewers, and we are still in studio with Mr. Anslem Richards, technical advisor to the THA, and we're talking about the Tobago House of Assembly Economic Development Plan, and we want to go back into the conversations. But before we do that, we want to do our back in the day, Tobago back in the day photo, and it's coming up right now. Can you tell us where this is? I think it's a sellout, but still, send in your answers to our Facebook and YouTube live chats, telling us where this is and what time you think it is, what year you think this photo was taken in, or Tobago back in the day photo. And we want to get back into the conversation with Mr. Richards. And Mr. Richards, I want to pose something to you. I want to shift the conversation a bit to Tobago's autonomy. And we had in earlier this week the leader of the Tobago Council of the People's National Movement, Mr. Anslem Dennis. And he was speaking about the Tobago Autonomy Bill, and he said that Tobago had an opportunity to get an increase of over $1 billion in revenue, as well as lawmaking powers. and that this THA administration did not support the bill. So you spoke about wanting lawmaking powers, and here we had an opportunity to take the lawmaking powers, but this administration rejected it. What's going on?
Listen, Mr. Denson will come and they will parrot and mouth the agenda of the principals in Trinidad. And everybody in Tobago knows that from inception, the PNM have never been in support of Tobago autonomy, right? There are some cosmetic provision in that bill that speaks to lawmaking powers. But when you read the bill, the Parliament in Trinidad had the authority to wipe off everything we do in Tobago in lawmaking powers. True internal self-government with proper legislative authority will be an unfettered provision that the Tobago House of Assembly has the constitutional authority to make laws for the matters for which it is responsible for Tobago and that are implementable in the space that is defined as Tobago. In that same bill, they had two definitions of Tobago. And you would listen to the debate. I'm sure you will listen to the debate. And when the opposition asks them, why are we using two different definitions for the same space? Camille Regis Robinson couldn't answer. Rowley had to intervene. So the bill, those things were not agreed to with the principals in Scarborough. You have to sit down and come to the table and make the case and negotiate and come to a settling point, a landing point. That has not happened. You understand? We are not saying that there are not some good provisions in the bill, but the bill has not met the minimum threshold for a sustainable legislative arrangement and executive authority for internal self-government.
So you
right?
stated that.
So let me go back to the $1 million, the $1 billion. We asked for, and I asked a colleague of mine to calculate the amount for me. We asked in the last TTA budget for 5.8% of the national budget. The DRC, which guides the allocation to Tobago, established in 2021, September, says that Tobago should get between 4.03% and 6.9%. The 4.03% was the population size of Tobago as a share of the national population at the time.
Yes.
So that was what you call the per capita share, meaning that every citizen of the country will get $1 of the expenditure, right?
Yes.
At the time when the budget was being presented last year, when we met with the Minister of Finance, the Secretary of Finance and myself on a team, the population of Tobago now is 5.1% of the national budget. We presented the argument and we gave them copies of the DRC report because all of them in Port of Spain in the Ministry of Finance didn't understand the DRC ruling. We made the case to them. And we said that as a minimum, we should be awarded 5.1%, which is the per capita share. We said to the minister, we are not asking for any privileges. All we are asking for, Mr. Minister, is equity. Give every citizen their $1 of expenditure. He asked the senior budget analyst, if they have to give Tobago 5.1%, they got to take from Trinidad. That's what he's saying. We don't come on this program to tell you, that is what the minister said, right? They don't need no constitutional amendment bill to give Tobago 5.1%. It falls within the range of the DRC. They came months after with a bill proposing how much percent? So and they refused to give us 5.8 and they come with a bill purporting more than 5.8.
You said
so
that.
let them understand them don't come here and try to murmur guy to be going here.
You said that.
you understand? Because people,
I understand what you're saying, but you're claiming that the bill that the People's National Movement had brought forward for passing in Parliament did not meet
the minimum
requirement. They didn't mean the threshold.
The threshold.
What is the threshold as far as this administration is concerned? And you said that there were some good elements in it.
Of course.
Don't you believe in incremental development? Why not take the good that they had at the time and then build upon that?
We cannot go. We have been going this way of incremental improvement. When you go to the 1980 bill,
yes.
Act 37 of 1980, that we established the THA. Then it took us another cycle to come to bill 40 of 1996, we are saying the time has come for us to make a fundamental shift from this 1997 colonial constitutional arrangement that has Tobago in the position it is in. Right? We are not taking this incremental thing, and it's the same way they're giving an incremental dollar to develop the island. And I will go to the national budget. The time has come for us to sit down as Trinidad and Tobago and create a constitutional arrangement that gives the people of Tobago the constitutional authority and the executive authority to take control of their destiny in terms of setting up our economy, making the laws to regulate how we want to govern ourselves in Tobago in a relationship with Trinidad at the Republic, at the national level. But we must be given the constitution, the unfettered constitutional authority to deal with those matters that are important to us on a day-to-day operation. We are not going to sign off on anything that is short of that. We are saying that that is the minimum threshold. We cannot set up a legislation where a remote power can intervene and take control of our government without the people's approval. Right?
Well, Mr. Richards, in the absence of that fundamental shift, isn't incremental development still progress? And shouldn't the people of Tobago be able to seize these incremental developments as we go along? I mean, an extra $1 billion on lawmaking abilities is still an improvement.
The lawmaking, the improvement of, I'm saying, one, the extra $1 billion doesn't need the passing of the bill. So you can't tie this extra $1 billion to which we are entitled, because if you do the calculation, 5.8% of the national budget.
It would have been guaranteed, not so.
I am saying if the PNM is trading and behaving in good faith,
yes,
they could have demonstrated. Don't tag on that as a bribe for us to accept your incomplete and inefficient legislation.
But if you have an extra $1 billion,
and I'm saying that if the Rowley administration, if Dennis and them,
yes,
was genuine, why they didn't stand up in the parliament and say, give the people and them the 5.8%, so we deserve it.
Let me ask you a question.
No.
If you get an extra $1 billion by law, then you don't need to depend on good faith.
And I'm saying that you don't need no law for that.
But you don't need to depend on good faith if it's in law.
And I'm saying that they should have demonstrated it in good faith.
And then we might
have accepted the bill.
Okay.
They would not deceive the people of Tobago. So because let me tell you something. Not everybody who tell you good night, just go and sleep.
So are you
Some of them just go in graveyard and sit down in tomb and plot evil against the people of Tobago.
Are you saying you would have preferred a good faith gesture instead of a guarantee by law?
I am saying that if the PNM was genuinely interested in giving Tobago its fair share of the national budget, we have made the comprehensive argument and provided the supporting document to the Ministry of Finance before this bill came to Parliament, right? And they refuse. Then they come mere weeks after with a bill purporting that they want to give us more when they had an opportunity to give us more. You understand?
Let me make a quick switch to the Tobago Development Bank because we're running out of time. I want to talk about this Tobago Development Bank, why the administration saw the need for it, or what they envision the bank to do to transform Tobago economically.
Right. So the Tobago Development Bank is not a new project. This is a project that was developed when Vanus James did the first comprehensive economic development plan for Tobago under the Hotchkiss Charles administration. The bank is intended to mobilize investment capital for the development of Tobago, both at the public and private level, right? Because we have to create, as I said, the existing financial services sector is not creating the kind of financing instrument that is required to respond to the development needs of Tobago. Right? They are the traditional thing that's probably good for the Trinidad economy. Even before the development bank, you will recall that the THA would have established BDU. Remember that? BDU,
yes.
The business development unit, they're giving out grants and loans, and then they established the venture capital. All those activities, projects are in response to the public problem of financing for development in Tobago. So the THA before has made a start. The review of those programs and the analysis have shown that those programs are not significant. They have not created the impact, and they are not significant in terms of the volume of capital that is necessary to mobilize to create the economic shift in the Tobago economy. And we thought that a bank with new institutional arrangement, new funding arrangement, will bring the volume of capital and the technical assistance to businesses and the THA for the development of the island in this space. And that's why we move into the establishment of the Tobago Development Bank. I told you the project was presented to the IDB. The IDB saw the need because they are development bank in Grenada, St. Lucia, Jamaica, and so forth. And those banks have created economic transformation in those spaces. And therefore the model is proven across the region and internationally. So we have moved ahead with the program. What we are going to do, we are going to retain some of the activities that is being conducted by the BDU that will come under the bank. We are also doing the loan guarantee program. So businesses that are facing cash flow problems and need working capital expansion to expand their businesses, the loan guarantee is being executed by First Citizen Bank through the Bankers Association, and we are putting up some guarantee, and business can go in now and get loans up to $3 million so that they can restock and drive the transformation of their businesses and create jobs and other type of benefit to the people of Tobago. So that is really in a nutshell what the development bank or the Tobago Development Fund is being designed to do. We are building out a very robust institution with strong governance and operational policies. Because you know, when you're talking financial institution, the governance arrangement is critical. Right, so we are insulating it from the hands of politicians and so forth by its design, right, so that we can't get a politician coming in to tell you give W $60 million out of 100 and them kind of thing. So we are creating an institution for the people and for the development of Tobago. I'm saying to you again that it would have won the approval of the IDB. The IDB would have invested 600,000 TT dollars to assist us in developing the policies and all of that. That program, that bank, that initiative is being blocked by the central government, by their refusal to issue the non-objection, right? We have a situation here, and I share the document with you, right? And
Mr. Richards, we can't go any further in. I'll let you get off that last shot against your political opponents, but we can't go any further. Viewers, you'll have to come back again, because you could talk for a week and more. So you'll have to come back again. But we really have to wrap up.
Wait, let me tell Tobago about this one day. The last one. Let me tell you.
You have 30 seconds.
30 seconds. So what we have.
Give me 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds.
Right. So Tropical Storm Beryl, passed, damaged Tobago, the thing. The CRIF, the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, paid out $372,752 for Tobago. The Minister of Finance and them take the money at Trinidad, and they get a man up a Bethel whose house was damaged, and we had to pull back the roof. The man still get a tarpaulin in the house. Me wash him for to go and look for brother, and she brother at church. Me wash him for to go look for brother Lashley. All right. Up a Bethel, right, and he from Bethel too. All right, and they take the money, they take away $1 or $2 million at Trinidad.
Next time I come on here, we'll come back to that.
And we get the revenue authority bill here too.
Thank you very much.
Where they say all our money is section 26. All our money have to go to Trinidad.
Okay, we'll talk about it later. You don't want to we'll talk about it later some other time. But ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our program. But before we go, we have one last birthday shout out, a special birthday shout out to Miss Olive Williams from Scarborough, Tobago, and she's celebrating her 102nd birthday. She celebrated it yesterday on March 26th. So long life, long blessings. We say happy birthday, happy belated birthday to you, Miss Olive Williams, and we wish God's greatest blessings on you. We have to go to our Tobago back in the day photo, or Tobago back in the day photo. It's coming up right now. And that Tobago back in the day photo is from Carrington Street in Scarborough. Carrington Street in Scarborough. I think most persons would have gotten this one quite easy. And this photo was taken in 1980. So ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our show this morning, but it is not the end of our programming. We move forward into GMT with Candice Trulhan, ladies and gentlemen. So we want us to do a favor for us. Share the live. We'll be right back with GMT.